All right, I want to thank y'all for coming to this meeting, this planning meeting with me. I know it was late notice, but again, I want to thank y'all because I know during this time of the year, it gets a little busy. So I want to thank y'all for coming by. Um, the reason we are here today is to continue to plan um, our professional development and kind of our direction and the biology classes here at the school. Um, Last meeting, we went over some of the data and we kind of pinpointed some of the areas where we feel like students are lacking in, some of the areas that we feel like the teachers are lacking in, and kind of some of the common mistakes that we see from the majority of students in our biology classes. Um, and we kind of brainstormed some ideas and we kind of went with using non-linguistic diagrams to help us in those classes. Again, non-linguistic diagrams are just using things outside of verbiage, outside of the language. It's using things that are hands-on. It's using pamphlets. It's using pie charts. It's using all sorts of things, things that you can touch and feel. And we think that that's probably going to give us the best the best advantage in biology for the students that we have here. So that's just a little recap of last meeting. This meeting, I want to talk a little bit about the roles of this team. There's 5 of us in here, and I think to best kind of use of our time, I think that there should be some roles that needs to be announced and be clarified as far as what we do, how we do it, and when we do it, and so a couple of months ago, I was reading this book and it highlighted the 5 team roles. And I thought it was pretty cool and it's something that I think would help us here. The 5 team rules here is obviously a leader. You need a challenger, you need a doer, you need a thinker, and you need a supporter. And so thinking on that, I kind of divvied up each one to each of us, where I think that we kind of either have experience or we have ability or talents that can kind of be used in this team as far as going forward in the planning process. So obviously first is the leader. I'm going to point myself as the leader. I'm going to be the person who sets this team in the right direction. I want to communicate a clear goal, and I want to be able to set the objectives and make sure that we are all staying aligned with the district goals and the school goals to accomplish what we really want. Second, I think I'm going to go with Ms. Hudspeth as the supporter. The only reason, Ms. Hudspeth, I appointed you as the supporter is because you're new. You're new to education and you're someone who's just getting in here. You're just learning. You're great at what you do. You have tremendous potential. And I think as the supporter, you will be able to kind of obviously support us in the direction that we're going in the planning and the topics that we talk about, but also provide us some interesting perspective on what the kids may think. I think right now where you're at with being young and being high energy and having these great relationships with the kids, I think that you could provide us some great feedback that they would only tell you and not us, you know what I mean? And so second, Mrs. Weatherman, I'm gonna go with you being the doer. And what the doer basically does is you are the guinea pig. You're gonna try these plans and the things that we talk about. You're gonna try them out and you're gonna see. The reason why I put you at that point is because you have the most experience in the biology class. You've seen all types of students. You've seen all types of lessons. You've tried them every which way. And so I think you and your expertise, I think you could provide great knowledge on what works and what doesn't work just based off of your experience. Second, I'm gonna go with Miss Patterson. You'll be our thinker. And the reason why I put you as our thinker is because, as a curriculum coordinator, you know the ins and outs of this course. You know what needs to be taught and what area and how to align it with the next course. And you have all right. I apologize. I had to start my video here. But hey, just in closing of this last meeting, again, I want to thank y'all for coming out, and thank you for all of the work that you have done. Please, I know sometimes during the process it doesn't seem like I'm grateful for your work and I'm grateful for your efforts, but I promise you I am. I want you to know that. I think during this process, what I'm most proud about is the trust and the relationships that I've built with this group. I think that the trust that has come from this process has allowed me to move forward and freely moving in the rest of this school year. I know that before this, we weren't as close as we are now. And so that's why I say that's one of the most proudest things I am about this whole thing, is because I now see you for who you are. I cherish your skills. I'm grateful for what you bring to the school. And without this process, I wouldn't have known any different. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest thing, getting out to our staff. That's the biggest thing that I want to get across, is that building the trust and building the relationships is really what this whole thing is all about. I mean, yes, the education is important. Yes, we need to make sure that they're being held accountable for the things that they do in this school. Yes, passing their STAR test and going on to graduation and doing great things in life is important. But the main reason we're here is to build relationships with the kids and build relationships with our coworkers, and to be here for one another and trust that the next person across the hall from us is going to hold the same standard as you do in your classrooms. And so again, I want to thank you. That's one of the biggest things that I've taken away from this collaborative team. It's just our relationship and our trust that we built. It's honestly been amazing. Just in recapping all that we've talked about in this meeting, man, the one thing that I've learned about each of you, okay, is that you're really committed. You're really here for the right reasons. I want to appreciate you for coming into this meeting and being honest with me. Before this meeting, I went to each individual and wanted to make sure that you hear me when I say my feelings aren't going to get hurt by any comments. I want you to be free. I'm not going to treat you differently because you're outspoken during the meetings. You know what I mean? I want you to be able to feel like this is a safe place to speak your mind. And so a great example of that is when, you came back and told me about the frustrations you have with the unmotivated students in your classroom. And honestly, I feel like that's a problem across the board, across the state and across the nation. And it's the biggest question in education is, how do you motivate the unmotivated? And when you try to put in these great plans and we have all of these strategies put in place and we have the perfect lesson plan drawn up, it sometimes still doesn't reach certain students. But I want to commend each and every one of you on not giving up. And I think that's the answer to the question is, how do you motivate the unmotivated? You don't give up. You don't break, you don't fall, you don't stop. And ultimately, even if it's 10 years down the road, they'll appreciate the effort that you brought. So, I do again want to thank you for bringing that up, as far as that was really one of the downfalls of this process, was some of the students simply just didn't care. No matter what you changed, what you did, no matter how many one-on-one talks you had, it just didn't change at all. And so that was one of the things that, going back, looking at the feedback, that was one of the main feedbacks that I received, was that, yes, it worked for the kids who tried. And honestly, each student, what I would tell them is, you're gonna get out of school what you put into it. And if you don't care, and if you're unmotivated, then your grades and the progress will probably show. So the main point in that is just don't give up. You know what I mean? That's my biggest thing on that. But as we leave this meeting, I want to encourage each and every one of you to self-reflect. I want you to kind of look yourself in the mirror and give yourself a grade, okay? That's in the classroom, that's involved in this process, the implementation of this plan, that's during the professional development, that was, I want you to self-reflect and to check your efforts and check, your commitment to this plan. And in my opinion, I think everyone is a grade A. But you know yourself better than I do. You know what I mean? And I want you to understand that the power is in the growth. The power is in analyzing yourself and being honest with yourself and trying to figure out ways that you can be better. Obviously, I am not the best. This is my first time doing something like this. This is not something that I am extremely comfortable with, but it's something that I'm committed to being better at. And the next plan that I, am involved in the next professional development that I plan to set up for our staff, I'm going to be better at because of this process. And I've self-analyzed myself. I've looked at it and I've had self-reflections about what I can do. And one thing that I did learn is that I need people like you. My dad always told me that you don't have to be good at everything. You just need to surround yourself with people who are good at things that you aren't good at. And that's kind of what I did here. I am not the most organized individual when it comes to paperwork and it comes to ideas and it comes to, notes and things like that. I don't necessarily lose things, but I do misplace a lot of things, you know what I mean? And I think having a team like you, being able to do the things that I'm not good at, it's really what made this plan what it was, you know what I mean? And I've sat with myself and that not being organized is one thing. And then the other thing is the knowledge. I'm 30 years old. Everybody knows that. I'm young. I'm a beginner in this whole thing. So I don't know everything. And the one thing that I had to get over with myself is being able to ask the questions. No matter how dumb I think the questions are, no matter how small I think the questions are, just kind of picking the brain of each of you has helped me, and has helped me realize that I really don't know as much as I thought I did. You know what I mean? And kudos to you guys for the experience that you put in and all of the commitment that you've shown. It's something that I truly admire. It's something that I want to be. Most of you know that my dad's a principal in the Metroplex, and I've looked up to him all my life, and he's the reason why I'm in the shoes I am right now. And so being able to surround myself with people like you to help me learn the ins and outs of this education thing, it's truly a blessing. So self-reflecting some more after noticing that I'm not very organized and that I don't know a lot. But what I did find out is I'm really good at building relationships. And I think that's important to note in your self-reflection. It doesn't all have to be negative. It doesn't all have to be what you're bad at. It's also important to realize what you're good at. It's also important to realize your strengths, because the goal is to always make your strengths stronger and your weaknesses stronger. You know what I mean? I think that's the whole goal, is to try to be better in all aspects. Even the things that you're good at, there's still elements that you can be better at. And I'll be the first to admit I am good at relationships, but I also can get a little awkward. I also can get a little uncomfortable in certain situations. And sometimes confrontation makes me a little nervous, if I'm being honest. But this group and this plan has taught me that healthy communication and healthy conflict is a real thing. And conflict resolution is always a needed ability. So that's all I got for today. Again, I want to thank y'all for coming in. I want to thank y'all for being a part of this whole thing. And